This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Barbie Atienza. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. Shifting the entire Philippines under the least stringent modified general community quarantine or MGCQ status could push Metro Manila's coronavirus disease cases to 2,400 per day by March 26, according to the Octa Research Team study released on Wednesday, February 17. The experts noted that the NCR had 2,400 cases per day in August 2020 when the pandemic became unmanageable, pushing the metropolis to be placed under a stricter quarantine to curb COVID-19 transmissions. Octa researchers appealed to the national government to defer the proposal of the National Economic Development Authority, or NEDA, to ease age restriction and place the entire country under a less stringent community quarantine by March 1. According to Octa Research, the NCR needs to be prepared not just in terms of resources, but also in terms of systems and an expanded capacity to do testing, effective tracing, and supportive isolation in preparation for a possible surge in cases. These systems must be in place before we ease restrictions, especially in high-risk areas. The coronavirus vaccines developed by Chinese drug maker Sinovac Biotech will be delivered to the Philippines only after the company secures approval from local drug regulators. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque announced Thursday that Sinovac has decided to wait for the emergency use authorization from the Food and Drug Administration before sending the vaccine supplies to the country. The palace earlier announced that around 600,000 doses of Sinovac vaccines donated by China are expected to arrive in the country on February 23. Roque claimed that the arrival of the Chinese donated vaccines was already etched in stone. The government has previously secured 25 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines from Sinovac under a term sheet. The initial supply was expected to arrive this month, and the rest will arrive in batches from March until December. Roque admitted that there might be a delay in the vaccine delivery if the FDA will not issue the emergency approval for Sinovac soon. Sinovac has filed an application for emergency approval for its vaccines before the FDA. The drug regulator, however, reportedly could not yet decide on the application due to incomplete documents.
Sinabi ko po na talagang parating na rin ang Sinovac. Ang Sinovac naman po na donated ng China, nais muna nilang antayin yung EUA bago iparating sa ating bansa yung kanilang donated na Sinovac. So kapag hindi po lumabas ang EUA, baka po maantala rin na pagdarating ng 600,000 na Sinovac, pero mas mabuti na po talaga na nandyan na yung EUA para sigurado na pagdating, gamit ka agad. At malaman na rin natin, no, kung hindi talaga pumasa naman sa EUA ng ating FDA, malaman na rin natin para alam natin kung magagamit o hindi.
Malacanang said the recommendation of the Department of Agriculture to increase the minimum amount of pork to be imported under the Minimum Access Volume, or MAV, is just awaiting the approval of President Duterte. Presidential spokesman Harry Roque made a statement as the government deals with a shortage of the supply of pork in Metro Manila due to the African swine fever, or ASF. In his Thursday presser, Roque said that the resolution of the DA aims to increase the MAV for pork imports to 402,210 metric tons from this year's 54,000 metric tons. MAV is the volume of the quantity of a specific agricultural commodity that may be imported with a lower tariff. It is part of the commitment of the Philippines to the World Trade Organization to facilitate trade between countries. The MAV is imposed on imported agricultural products to help countries whose economies rely on agriculture and to protect their agricultural workers. The EO was issued earlier this month due to consumer complaints of rising prices of pork and chicken due to ASF. On Wednesday, February 17, 2,000 hogs from South Cotabato arrived in Tondo, Manila for distribution to different markets in the metropolis. Disaster management officials advised the residents of Bicol region and the eastern part of the Visayas and Mindanao to prepare for possible widespread flooding and rain-induced landslides as Tropical Storm Auring threatens to dump heavy downpour in the country in the coming days. In the latest weather bulletin, Pag-asa said Auring was spotted at 685 kilometers east-southeast of Hinatuan Town, Surigao del Sur, with maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour near the center and gustiness of up to 80 kph. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Mines and Geosciences Bureau has already identified 4,654 barangays susceptible to landslide and flood in Bicol, Visayas, Northern Mindanao, Davao, and Caraga. Pag-asa said there is increased likelihood of heavy rains over Visayas, Caraga, Northern Mindanao, Bicol region, Calabarzon region, Davao Oriental, Davao de Oro, Davao del Norte, Lanao del Sur, Mindoro provinces, Marinduque, Romblon, Northern Palawan including Calamian and Cuyo Islands this weekend until Monday. The State Weather Bureau said no locality has been placed under tropical cyclone wind signal number 1. The NDRRMC held a pre-disaster risk assessment meeting this afternoon to prepare for the impact of Auring and is continuously coordinating with the regional DRRMCs and member agencies. Taal volcano in Batangas continued to manifest heightened activity with 91 tremor episodes and weak emission of steam-laden plumes in the past 24 hours. In its volcano bulletin issued Thursday, February 18, the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PhilVox, said the 91 tremors have durations of 1 to 5 minutes, while the white steam-laden plumes coming from Taal volcano's fumaroles or openings were observed up to 5 meters. PhilVox pointed out that Taal volcano remains under alert level 1 as sudden steam-driven or phreatic explosions, volcanic earthquakes, minor ash fall, and lethal accumulations or expulsions of volcanic gas can occur and threaten areas within the Taal volcano island, a permanent danger zone. PhilVox advised the public to refrain from entering Taal's PDZ, especially the main crater and the Angkastila fissure. The local government units were urged to continuously assess previously evacuated barangays around Taal Lake for damages and road accessibilities and to strengthen preparedness, contingency, and communication measures in case of renewed unrest. People were also advised to observe precautions due to ground displacement across fissures, possible ashfall, and minor earthquakes. In Metro News, Metro mayors want gradual, careful reopening of economy, according to Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro. Quezon City Task Force confiscates learning tablet from residents drinking in the streets. And Pop-Up Library Bookstop resumes operations in Intramuros, Manila. More from this report.
Majority of the Metro Manila mayors want a gradual and careful reopening of the economy, according to Marikina Mayor Marcy Teodoro. In a radio interview this morning, Teodoro said most Metro mayors are still worried about the easing of restrictions for the entire country by March 1 as proposed by the National Economic and Development Authority. The Metro Manila Council met Wednesday night to discuss the proposal, along with other matters such as the reopening of cinemas and the lowering of age requirements for persons allowed outside of their residences. Teodoro also suggested making daily wage earners a priority in the vaccination program if the government decides to reopen the economy by further relaxing the quarantine level to the modified general community quarantine by March. The Marikina Mayor underscored that there should be a support mechanism in place before the country relaxes its restrictions. Metro Manila mayors will still have consensus building session in the next 2 days and will submit the recommendations to the IATF. The Quezon City Task Force Disciplina recovered a tablet distributed by the QC government from a group of residents drinking in the street last February 14. According to the report, the residents ran away after seeing TFD and the tablet was left on the table which an online sabong was playing. Based on the QC Council ordinance, only the students should use the tablet and must only be used for learning purposes only. Downloading of games or movies is strictly prohibited and the parent of the student will be included in the sanction. Selling or pawning the tablet is also prohibited and with a fine of up to 5,000 pesos to the person who is not entitled to the tablet. The tablet was already turned over to the mayor's office and the gadget's owner was already identified. Attention to all bookworms! The famous pop-up library Bookstop has resumed its operations in Intramuros, Manila on Wednesday, February 17. Visitors who wish to read or exchange books in the pop-up library were reminded to follow basic health protocols when entering the space, which include the wearing of the face masks and physical distancing of at least 1 meter. Whoever fails to comply will be denied entry. Bookstop Intramuros is part of a project initiated by WT Architecture and Design Studios in 2016. The pop-up library project aims to determine the role that libraries play in the contemporary urban societies and the shape that they may take as society develops and grows. Bookstop Intramuros is located at Plaza Roma, Intramuros, across the Manila Cathedral.
Here are the top news in other parts of the country. Endangered and elusive Calao bird emerges in Sierra Madre Range. And Cabangcalan City to open borders for Mabinay residents for 12 hours. Here are the details.
A Filipino photographer recently captured images of the Calao or the Philippine Hornbill, who is classified globally as a threatened vulnerable species. Photographer Edwin Martinez captured this elusive bird during an expedition at the Sierra Madre mountain range in the Infanta Quezon side. According to Martinez, ever since he started going to the Sierra Madre, he has always been searching for the Philippine Hornbill. The Calao or Rufous Hornbill is the largest hornbill in the Philippines and is endemic in Luzon. According to an article by the Wild Bird Club of the Philippines, forest conversion to agricultural and logging practices remain the biggest threat to hornbills, which thrive on primary or well-developed secondary forests. Hunting, trapping, and nest poaching for food, the illegal pet trade and sport are also responsible for the decline in Philippine hornbills. The Negros Occidental Provincial Government will ease border control between Cabangcalan City and Mabinay Town in Negros Oriental starting March 1, mainly to boost commerce and trade while observing health protocols against coronavirus disease. Negros Occidental Governor Eugenio Jose Lacson said residents of Mabinay will be allowed to enter Cabangcalan, located in the southern part of the province, for up to 12 hours a day. Lacson added that Mabinay will quarantine its residents if they go beyond 24 hours from the time they leave as a safety precaution. Last month, Lacson said the mayors in Negros Occidental agreed not to lift the border control yet since active cases in Negros Oriental are higher, but said they will observe how things will eventually go.
In world news, Mount Etna spews more smoke and ashes in spectacular new eruption. Japan starts vaccine rollout with healthcare workers. And London artist creates mini food banks to collect cans for charity. Let's watch this.
Mount Etna, one of the world's most active volcanoes, belched smoke and ashes in a new eruption. Estimating the eruption from Etna's southern crater began late Tuesday afternoon, but according to Italian authorities, the latest burst of activity was not at all worrying. The emergency authorities said on their Twitter account that they were monitoring the situation closely in 3 villages at the foot of the volcano. Images showed a spectacular rose-colored plume of ashes above the snow-capped summit, but the cloud had largely dissipated by nightfall while lava flows continued to glow. Etna is the tallest active volcano in Europe and has erupted frequently in the past 500,000 years. Japan kicked off its inoculation drive at Tokyo Hospital with a plan to initially give Pfizer-BioNTech shots to 40,000 healthcare workers. Japan is battling a much more limited outbreak compared with hard-hit countries such as United States and Britain, but its response being closely watched around the world as doubts swirl over the postponed Tokyo Olympics due to start July 23. Organizers have outlined measures they say they will keep the games safe even without requiring participants to be vaccinated or quarantined on arrival. But there are fears among Japanese public and experts that the precautions may not be enough for a global event, even as the WHO on Tuesday reported a slowing of the pandemic. Using wood, paint, and 3D printed plastic ornaments, London-based artist Sean Rodrigo builds boxes shaped like miniature shops aimed to be used as a relay for food banks. Placed in different areas of his borough, the boxes will allow people to donate cans of non-perishable food that will then be collected by a charity. Rodrigo is hoping that the decorated boxes he made would help to draw attention to the issue of people having food poverty or people not having access to food due to the pandemic.
In entertainment, Disney recently revealed the first teaser for a new live-action adaptation and continuation of the classic 101 Dalmatians story via the prequel film entitled Cruella, and playing the lead role as a young version of the iconic Disney villain is Emma Stone. In the teaser, Stone strikes an imposing figure as Cruella, first as red-haired Estella and then eventually as the intense and certifiably mad designer with a two-toned hairstyle and a special liking for Dalmatian spots as a fashion statement. The film is set for release in May 28, 2021, but whether it will be released theatrically or on the Disney Plus streaming service is yet to be determined. And in sports, pole vaulter E.J. Obiena capped off his indoor season campaign with a bronze medal finish in the prestigious Copernicus Cup 2021 at the Arena Torun in Poland early Thursday. Obiena, one of the country's 4 qualifiers to the Tokyo Olympics, vaulted 5.80 meters to settle behind 2-time world champion Sam Kendricks of the United States and hometown vet Piotr Lisek. This was Obiena's first podium finish in a gold standard event this year after coming in 5th both at the Karlsruhe indoor meet in Germany and the meeting in Hauts-de-France Pas de Calais in Ливен. And those are the news on Web Today, February 18, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow or log on to www.mb.com.ph, or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Barbie Atienza for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.